Speaker standoff enters day 3 today. As Republicans continue to fight with each other, Democrats are enjoying the show. Dems have a lot of fun at Republicans' expense in general, but right now they're tweeting out photos of themselves breaking out the popcorn, watching the Republicans remain deadlocked over who should be the next leader of the chamber. Look at this. Look at this. It's kind of a circus. Are politicians not taking this seriously enough? For more on this, I'm joined right now by Chris Hahn, host of the Aggressive Progressive podcast and former senior aide to Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer. Thanks, Chris, for being with us. You know, all this back and forth, I mean, is it just petty? Or, I mean, it seems to be almost inappropriate.
I think part of the problem in Washington right now is that we've lost comity, right? That was something that used to rule the day in both the Senate and the House. And it was always something that kept members from attacking each other from the floor. I thought the speech that the member gave yesterday, you know, accusing Democrats of having booze on the floor of the Capitol, I thought that was out of line. I also think that we've got to get to a place where people can actually respect one another in the chamber so that maybe we can actually get something done for the American people instead of trying to get more likes and more appearances on some right-wing outlets.
Okay, well, we're going to actually play some of that booing and Republican Congresswoman Kat Cammack saying this on the White House, the House floor on Wednesday.
They want us divided. They want us to fight each other. That much has been made clear by the popcorn and blankets and alcohol that is coming over there.
I mean, what she said wasn't wrong.
It's out of order. It was out of order. You don't speak ill of other members from the floor of the House or the Senate. It's part of the rule. And she should not be doing that, just as people shouldn't be breaking out popcorn on the floor of the House of Representatives. So, look, here's the thing. The Republicans are in disarray. They do not have a leader. We have a person who brought a vote to the floor of the House that he did not know the outcome of. That's something that Nancy Pelosi never did. And quite frankly, no good Speaker of the House ever would do. And that's probably reason enough not to have Kevin McCarthy be the Speaker of the House if you want an honest opinion of it. We'll have more chaos like this forever. And quite frankly, if we had some comity in the House of Representatives, if we had some deal-making between people on the right and the left, we might actually get something done for the American people in Congress, which is what the American people want right now. And I don't think right now, the way things are going, that's going to happen. I think Republicans are far too worried about their primary and not their general election. There are about 20 members that won seats that Biden carried in 2020, and they should be considering working with Democrats and avoiding this mishigas that's going on right now in the House.
Mishigas. I love it. All right. President Biden calling the speaker fight embarrassing and not his problem. Is that the right response from the White House?
Yeah, because it is embarrassing and the president has nothing to do with it, right? It's exactly right, to be honest with you. Kevin McCarthy is embarrassed at this point, and it doesn't bode well. Like, should he somehow come out of this as speaker, and it's not looking good right now for him, he's going to have a very hard time governing that conference and getting anything done for the American people. And it does not bode well for those 20 members who have to run in 2 years in districts that Biden won. And they should be considering right now what they want from Kevin McCarthy or someone else who might be a better fit for them so that they can get reelected.
Yeah, because right now, I mean, Jordan's not going to get it. He doesn't have enough votes. So it's like, what are we doing here? Chris Hahn, maybe there'll be more concessions today. We appreciate your time.
Anytime.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.